Drink beer, it's good for you. I'm empty-handed and I'm feeling blue, and I'm gonna drink till the day that I die.
Hello and welcome to the video. In this video I shall be sharing my recipe and method for my bright Red X IPA. This brew actually centres around the use of the well-known Red X malt from Best Malts of Germany. Luckily for us, it can actually be bought worldwide. The idea behind this malt is that it can be used in 100% of your grain bill and produces a vibrant red colour. However, many have actually found that to actually get the best from this malt, then you do actually need to add some other grains within it. There is also a way of actually mashing this to get the very best results also, and I will share all of this with you during the course of the video. This special malt has actually been used in quite a few different commercial brews. It's just that some breweries are more upfront about it than others. Speaking of being upfront, let me just go straight into my recipe and method for this bright Red X IPA. So here's a quick look at the recipe. This recipe is actually repeated in the YouTube description, and it's also on the Grainfather recipe tools database. You will note that there are quite a few mash steps to this recipe. This is due to the special properties of the Red X malt. These steps have been proven to get the very best from it. You will also find that pairing Simcoe and Sorachi Ace in this grain bill works really nicely. You will also notice on the 0-minute Whirlpool hops I've given the option of using a hop tea, and this is my preferred method, and it's also a bit quicker on the brew day too, but really for me it's all about the extra flavour that the hop tea gives. If you've never done this before, see my channel for the appropriate video. And now for something completely different. You may have already noticed that this video is shorter than my usual brew day video. This is because instead of actually giving the same advice every time in every brew day video, I've actually now condensed this into pausable sections of text that are relative to the various parts of brewing. Those that need it can simply pause the video at those relative points and read the text. Those that don't can move swiftly on. Please do let me know what you think about this idea. Okay, so let's get on to the brew, and here I am just finalising my mashing in. So what I've done here is I've added all of my grain gradually to the strike water, and I'm now making sure that it's all nicely mixed in. For further information on preparing your mash, please pause the video now if needed. Okay, but let's move on to what you really came here to see, and that is the colour that is produced by this Red X malt. And here it is, looking very nice if I do say so myself. Okay, so let's run through these mash steps again so you can see that we actually have 3 mash in steps and 1 mash out step. Now I appreciate that this now means that you'll be mashing for an hour and 40 minutes, but trust me, it's worth it. At least with a modern day brewing system you don't actually need to do the mashing yourself. You can go out, perhaps go for a walk or whatever you feel for, though if you're anything like me, you might just stay in and marvel at this fantastic colour as it's coming together. Next up was the sparge, and I recommend doing this by hand, doing it slowly and evenly. This will get you the best results. For further information on successful sparging, please pause the video now. As you can see here, I've got all of my boil additions and yeast already worked out before I enter the boiling stage. You will note that I don't have the 0-minute hops here because I far prefer using a hop tea. Onto the boil now, and you can see that this is still a very pretty looking beer even while it's boiling. One of the most vital things that you can do during the boil is actually to stir every addition in fully. Here I am actually adding some yeast nutrient to this boil, and I'd recommend that you do this on every single brew. Do note that when I first start to stir, I'm actually just skimming the top, and the idea here is that we want all of the particles that are still at the top to be stirred in fully and amalgamate with the entire brew, not just the top. Periodically throughout the boil, ensure that you scrape the bottom plate. This way nothing will build up and you won't have any problems. For further advice on the boil, please pause the video now to read this if needed. So we're now at 0 minutes and it's now time to use my new best friend to do my whirlpool for me. All I have to do is hold the drill. I've noticed since this new product came out that certain people on the various different Grainfather Facebook forums have been shouting out about hot side aeration. To this I would say the following. HSA, or hot side aeration, is a very real concern on mass scale brewing, but when it comes to homebrew it has been totally debunked many years back. However, if you are a lager home brewer who will not refrigerate your brew and will keep each batch for longer than 6 months, then there is still cause for some concern. In this case, and in this case only, I would suggest minimizing aeration before your wort has been cooled to yeast pitching temperatures. Or, a far more common sense approach would be to make sure that you always refrigerate your lagers. Be aware that when conditioning a lager, it will actually condition far better when left in a fridge. Ale, on the other hand, is completely the opposite. I do hope that now we can put this HSA debate to rest. Back to the brew now, and I've now entered the cooling phase. And yes, despite having an aerator paddle, I'm still splashing my wort into my conical fermenter. You know what? You just can't have enough oxygen for your yeast. To coin a very British phrase, the more the merrier. It's also great to utilise any opportunity that we have to use power tools. Let's face it, it's true. It's fair to say that introducing oxygen into your wort in this manner may not be as efficient as using pure O2, but hey, it's an awful lot cheaper, and it's a great deal more fun. Personally, I think utilising this method is plenty good enough for homebrew. The difference in using pure CO2 is really quite minimal compared. By splashing in the wort into your fermenter and then giving it a good drilling for a couple of minutes, your yeast is going to get off to a flying start, and that's really what matters here. I'm pleased to report that I actually managed to get over the target gravity here, which is actually just as well, because like a fool I forgot to remove half a litre of my water during the brewing process to allow for the fact that I'm going to use a hop tea for my 0 minute additions. So yeah, just as well really, hey. As a fantastic added bonus, my fermentation got off to a very quick flying start, which is always nice to see. And that just about wraps up another video. Please do let me know what you think about the pausable method on the reoccurring advice, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing this brew and making this video. So if you did like this video, then please do go ahead and like it on YouTube. This really helps me out and allows the videos to be seen by a wider audience on YouTube. I've got a lot of videos in the pipeline for the future, so if you're interested in seeing what I've got coming up, then please subscribe for future content. If you have any questions on anything that I've covered in this video or in others, or anything to do with brewing in general, then please do not hesitate to get in touch. I'm more than happy to help. Until then, happy brewing!